An On Your Side investigation has uncovered delays in the VA program designed to give veterans access to specialty care sooner. Good evening, I'm Maureen O'Boyle.
And I'm Paul Cameron. We started asking questions after hearing from several area veterans who said they waited for months or years for treatment. Investigative reporter Mick Oxner is on your side, digging into what's being done to get our veterans the care they need.
2 months. That's exactly how long it took Todd Hildebrand to see a specialist for the mounting fluid and increasing pressure on the back of his eye.
I'm thinking is it getting so bad that I'm going to lose the eyesight in my eye before I get to the ophthalmologist?
Hildebrand was supposed to have seen a doctor much sooner. In late October, his eye doctor at a VA clinic in Hickory said he needed to see a specialist. But since a VA specialist couldn't get him in until January, he qualified for the Choice program.
It just seemed like the Choice program is not working any better than the VA does itself.
The VA Choice program uses VA money to pay private medical providers to see veterans who need specialty care.
The very next day, October 30th, they got a hold of me right, bam, that quick. I was like, hey, this is going to be a pretty easy way to slide this time, you know.
Well, what seemed like a process that'd be lightning fast quickly came to a halt. Hildebrand's medical records show the VA didn't actually send his information to the private company that administers the Choice program until November 25th, nearly a month later.
How long did it take you from the time you were told you qualified for Choice to actually see the specialist you needed to see?
60 days. Exactly, 60 days.
I had to complain loudly. I had to call my congressman. I had to shout from the rooftops that I was being flat out ignored.
Veteran Jim Bancroft waited 1.5 years before he was even referred to the Choice program.
It literally took an action from my congressman to see a doctor for any of this. That's unacceptable. That's not health care. That is a complete neglect, and it has nothing to do with my veteran status. It has to do with neglect of a patient.
And when Bancroft finally got a referral to a private physician to treat his medical problem, the provider told him he couldn't be treated for some issues because the Choice program hadn't been paying its bills. HealthNet, the company contracted to administer the Choice program, said it's reached out to Bancroft's provider to let it know the company's working with its leadership to address and resolve the issues that have surfaced. Those same issues were highlighted in a report released in October by the VA that identified delays in processing veterans' choice benefits and payments to providers.
What is your message to the leadership of the VA?
Retire, resign, or be thrown out. You are not leading an organization that is showing any positive concern for the veterans you're supposed to be serving.
Do you think the program works?
No. No. It's another incompetent bureaucracy.
Our investigation continues tonight on WBTV News at 11 o'clock when the family of a veteran says he went weeks with undiagnosed terminal cancer that the family says the VA could have caught much sooner. That and reaction from U.S. Senator Richard Burr to what we've uncovered, all new at 11. For now in the newsroom, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.
Like tonight, a local family demanding answers from the local VA hospital after they say doctors there failed to diagnose a Vietnam veteran with terminal cancer. Charles Earnhardt died on December 3rd, less than a week after he was told he had stage 4 cancer that had spread from his liver. Now his family is telling investigative reporter Nick Oxner it's a diagnosis the VA should have been able to make weeks earlier.
Charles Earnhardt liked riding his bike. His son says he'd ride it all over town to run errands, see friends, or just get out of the house. But one day last fall, he went to the VA clinic in Hickory to see a doctor about the lack of energy and extreme weight loss that put the brakes on his bike riding.
He was feeling down and didn't have no energy. He felt bad. And he couldn't ride his bicycle on the track no more. He was just getting winded all the time.
Earnhardt's medical records show he was seen by a VA doctor on November 6th. A note in Earnhardt's record says a doctor at the clinic called 3 days later to say he suspected liver cancer and ordered an MRI that same day. But nowhere in the record does it show that MRI was ever performed.
My dad, he passed away waiting on a VA appointment.
Earnhardt's son, Chuck, said that appointment was scheduled for December 15th, but he couldn't wait that long. Earnhardt passed out on Thanksgiving Day, was rushed to the hospital, and told he had terminal liver cancer. He died 6 days later.
He was in a whole lot of pain. He had 6 days to get his whole confused life in order, and he passed away.
Is that acceptable to you?
Well, I wish I could tell you that it's an isolated case, and no, it's not acceptable to me.
North Carolina Senator Richard Burr says he hears stories like what happened to Earnhardt all too often.
Who do you hold responsible for that?
Well, listen, I hold the secretary responsible. He's the one in the chain with not only the power to transform VA, but the authority to do it.
A spokeswoman for the Salisbury VA, where Earnhardt's MRI was ordered, provided the records but didn't explain why the follow-up test wasn't conducted closer to the time it was ordered.
There's no excuse for that. I mean, he didn't say, wait, I'll go fight your war. They shouldn't tell the veterans, wait, we'll take care of you later.
Reporting in Salisbury, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.
Now, we asked the VA to respond to Senator Burr's calls for accountability. A spokesman said he'd send a statement and then failed to do so. If you have experienced delays or need help with a VA problem, we want to hear from you. Log on to WBTV.com, fill out the form that we've created to get you the help that you need.
Veterans across the state aren't able to get the medical treatment they need because of problems with a program meant to speed access to care.
That's what we've uncovered in an On Your Side investigation. Investigative reporter Nick Oxner first uncovered problems with the VA Choice program last month. His investigation continues tonight as he talks with doctors frustrated by the broken system.
On any given day, the staff at Salisbury Orthopedics busy greeting patients, scheduling appointments, and fitting in surgeries. But the practice says all that work's been slowed down as it fought bureaucratic red tape in an attempt to treat veterans.
We would be on hold upward an hour to 2 hours each time, and the patient would get very frustrated with us.
Sandra Jarrett is the practice manager at Salisbury Orthopedic. She's talking about dealing with HealthNet, the private company contracted by the VA to administer the VA Choice program.
We'd start checking a week or two before the appointment. They would either tell us it hadn't been authorized or they would tell us it had been faxed, but we didn't have it. Had to cancel several appointments for the same patient.
Jarrett said HealthNet was losing paperwork authorizing medical procedures that's required before they can treat any patient. She blames it on a process she says still relies solely on human beings sending faxes.
We would find that we would get faxes for other doctors. We got faxes for authorizations for doctors in Michigan. Other doctors around the state would call us and say, we have your fax for an authorization for a patient, and it went to them.
The Veterans Choice Program has been plagued by administrative problems.
Bob Sellickson's the CEO of the North Carolina Medical Society. He and his staff are working to address problems with the VA Choice program after hearing from doctors' offices across the state.
We didn't realize the magnitude of it until we started checking around, and we've had at least 30 practices call in across the state about these issues.
What is it going to take to fix the Choice program?
I think that HealthNet Federal needs to fix their disconnect within their system.
Recently, Senator Richard Burr led a group of colleagues in introducing legislation aimed at doing just that.
We have worked aggressively over the last week to put together a bipartisan bill, and I was told before I walked in the door that we are there.
Burr's proposals to fix the Choice program will likely be folded into larger legislation aimed at fixing problems that continue to plague the VA. Both Sellickson and Jarrett say a fix can't come soon enough.
So what's the real effect of that been on veterans?
The veteran didn't get the service they need.
Now, I reached out to HealthNet, the company that administers the Choice program, to find out what the company's doing to fix these problems. In a statement, a company spokesman said, quote, that it is developing a complex and consistent new program like Veterans Choice is a team effort, and HealthNet is working closely with Congress, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and healthcare providers and many others to provide veterans with the appropriate, coordinated, and convenient care they have earned for their service. Guys, we'll keep monitoring them. For now, back to you.
On Your Side, investigating health care for our veterans tonight. A powerful group of Republican senators in Washington backing a proposal to expand the VA Choice program.
All veterans currently eligible for VA health care could participate. The bill, spearheaded by Arizona Senator John McCain, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, and North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis, got a warm reception on Capitol Hill. But investigative reporter Nick Oxner is asking lawmakers how their plan to expand the Choice program is feasible when many local vets say the program doesn't work now.
There's a lot of talk in Washington these days about how to fix the VA.
There's a fight and a war going on up here about how to serve veterans better.
South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, a veteran himself, joined with colleagues Thom Tillis, John McCain, and others to introduce the Care Veterans Deserve Act. The bill would expand the choice program to all veterans eligible for VA health care.
There's no more 30, 40-mile limit. You can use any facility outside the VA network you would like. That you'll have more choices.
But the senator's proposal would open up a program designed to expedite access to care that many say doesn't work. For months, On Your Side Investigates has been shining a light on problems with the choice program. In February, we talked with 2 veterans whose treatment was delayed through VA choice. In March, we found many doctors' offices across the state have stopped treating choice patients because procedures aren't being authorized and doctors aren't getting paid.
Doctors' offices in that area have stopped taking choice patients because Health Net isn't paying them.
Right.
So are you confident or comfortable that these companies will get back in the Health Net network?
The whole point of this bill is to correct that problem.
The bill, co-sponsored by Senators Graham and Tillis, is just one in a slew of proposals right now in Congress aimed at reforming the VA. No matter what actually makes it through Congress and is signed by the president will have to be implemented by those at the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Internal documents obtained from the Salisbury VA Medical Center show some veterans referred to the choice program are having to wait months before an appointment is even ever scheduled. This list of 51 local veterans referred to choice still didn't have appointments as of mid-March. Some patients have been waiting since December and early January for things like pain management and cardiology rehab.
Many veterans who, once they get referred over to Health Net, are waiting 30, 60, 90 days before they're seeing a care provider. It kind of defeats the purpose of having the choice program.
So again, a lot of that depends on the community and the providers that are available.
Kristen Cunningham is the VA's Director of Business Policy.
You'd acknowledge that it is not working as effectively as it could be in some parts of the country.
I think in some areas we have experienced challenges, and we're working very closely with our contractors to try to address those and make sure every veteran gets the experience that they're looking for and that they deserve.
Are you concerned that this new proposal would overburden a system that really needs to be fixed?
No, I think this new proposal will kick the system in the butt to make it work.
Graham stands by the plan he, Tillis, and McCain introduced last month.
It's going to take the President of the United States to make this work. They're in charge of the VA.
Reporting at the Capitol in Washington, Nick Oxner, WBTV, On Your Side.
And for weeks, we requested to speak with Senator Tom Tillis about his support for the bill, but his staff refused to make him available.
Veterans across the country are fighting for disability benefits they say they earned serving our country. WBTV has spent months investigating and addressing problems area veterans have had with the VA. Tonight, On Your Side investigator Nick Oxner is pressing for answers on what's taking so long.
I can't see without my glasses.
Ask Janice Powell for documents, and she whips out a ton of them. File folders papered with dog-eared corners. They all tell a story of her husband's years-long battle with the Department of Veterans Affairs.
We were trying to get him on disability, but to no avail.
Janice's husband, Andrew Powell, served in the Army during the Korean War. Decades after he left the service, he suffered from arthritis so bad his hands were nearly useless. The Powells thought the arthritis was connected to his time in the Army, but the VA wouldn't give him disability unless he could prove it.
It was very frustrating. I mean, you doing everything you're asked to do and to no result.
Janice says the government bombarded her and her husband with form after form. No denial, just more paper.
I have no idea, unless they were just waiting for him to pass away, which he did.
Andrew Powell died earlier this year. The end of a fight with no outcome.
It's very frustrating for veterans, and I see that every single day when they come in. They're completely frustrated because the VA bombards them with paperwork.
Cindy Travis knows all too well the frustration Janice Powell and her husband faced applying for benefits. She helps veterans fight the VA every day as the Veteran Service Officer in Catawba County.
There's so many new people up there working on claims and who are not experienced in it and who haven't been doing it a long time, and so there are mistakes made. Understaffed and the volume of claims that they're getting every day.
Travis says the older a veteran is, the fewer records there typically are, which means it's hard to prove their disability is connected to their time in the service.
There's a multitude of things why the VA denies their claim.
It put a sour taste in my mouth for the VA. It kind of made me feel a little ashamed of wanting to step out and serve my country, knowing the way that I was going to be treated afterward, being injured.
Ryan Perky's working with Travis to get the government to pay for disability benefits he says he's owed but hasn't received. That fight was put on hold because of a letter the government says was sent, but neither Perky nor Travis ever got.
I can't imagine how many other vets have being treated the exact same way and just giving up.
Now, we reached out to the VA to try to get to the bottom of these delays in processing disability claims. We sent them multiple release forms signed by some of the veterans in our story, giving the VA permission to share their information with us. But get this, just today, the VA said it couldn't give us any information until the veterans signed yet another different form. Guys, back to you.
How frustrating, Nick. Thank you for that On Your Side investigation.
Imagine a surgery that leaves you more hurt than before it began. Not because of something the surgeon did, but because you couldn't get the rehab you needed afterwards. That's what's happening for some veterans in our area receiving treatment through the VA Choice Program. WBTV investigative reporter Nick Oxner has been exposing problems with the VA for months. He is on your side now with details on this critical gap in treatment. Nick.
Yeah, Molly, Brian Cooper went to the VA for help with an injured shoulder. He got referred to the Choice Program, had surgery, but now he's lost permanent use of some of his shoulder because he had to wait 3 months to start rehab. When you agreed to be part of the Choice Program, did you think it would actually end up coming back to hurt you?
No, absolutely not.
Brian Cooper has regrets about seeking treatment for his shoulder injury through the VA Choice Program. It's billed as a way to get veterans the specialty care they need faster. But a series of On Your Side investigations since February has exposed problem after problem with the program. Some veterans have had to wait to have an appointment scheduled. Doctors' offices have grown frustrated because they're not getting paid or can't get approval for treatment. But then there are veterans like Cooper, who got approved for surgery in July 2015, but not the rehab.
It was October before I finally got the authorization for the physical therapy.
3 months of no rehab meant scar tissue had begun to build up in Cooper's shoulder, meaning he'll never regain full motion.
As you're sitting there and you're waiting month after month for your rehab after having the surgery, what's going through your mind?
I'd call the doctor and say, okay, what can I do at home? Tell me something. And he was absolutely outraged.
Is there anything that you can do as the care provider to get them to speed the process up?
Beg.
Dr. Chris Prado didn't treat Brian Cooper, but he sees other VA Choice patients at Carolina Orthopedic. He, too, has had Choice patients have to wait, just like Cooper.
You go in under the assumption that the therapy is going to be approved, and then suddenly afterwards there's no approval and you're waiting and waiting.
And that really puts you and your patient in limbo.
Absolutely.
The Choice Program is administered in our area by a company called HealthNet. In a statement, a company spokesman said, quote, "We are rapidly expanding operations and services to meet the demand in an effort to avoid situations like the one you describe." Among the changes the company says it's making is expediting follow-on care, authorizing primary care and follow-up care at the same time, and adding customer service representatives.
What would you tell someone at the VA and at HealthNet about your situation?
That they need to determine how the bureaucracy is going to work and then put those gears together and just make it work.
Now, Brian Cooper is just one of several veterans who've contacted us about getting surgery through the Choice Program but having to wait on rehab. If you're experiencing a problem with the VA, let us know by logging onto our website, WBTV.com, filling out our special web form. Guys, back to you.
New outrage tonight from a local veteran after an On Your Side investigation unearthed how much money the CEO of a company administering a VA program that many say does not work is getting paid. The program is called VA Choice. It is supposed to allow veterans to see private doctors when a VA specialist isn't available. But we've uncovered a problem after problem with VA Choice in a series of investigations since February. Our investigative reporter Nick Oxner is breaking down the bonus money the man behind the program got paid while veterans had to wait for care.
Is it getting so bad?
Whether it's veterans waiting to get an appointment or doctors waiting to get paid, or even patients waiting to be approved for rehab after a surgery, On Your Side Investigates has uncovered glitch after glitch in the VA Choice Program in our months-long investigation starting in February.
I've been waiting 5 months to see an orthopedic specialist for that.
It began with Jim Bancroft, a Marine veteran who was referred to VA Choice for multiple orthopedic issues but was having trouble getting treatment.
Each time I have had to wait between 3 to 5 weeks just for VA Choice to authorize any further services.
Bancroft says he received authorization to be seen by a local specialist in Charlotte for one problem and a doctor a bit farther away for another.
So I Googled the guy's name. The doctor's in Indiana. Well, I live in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
His attempts to find a doc closer to home have been met with wall after wall.
Each time I call to ask them, what's the status of my appointment, their response is, well, I don't have anything here for an appointment.
So Bancroft was surprised to hear Jay Gellert, the CEO of the company that administers the VA Choice program in our area, HealthNet, hauled in more than $14 million in 2015, including $3 million in bonus money.
The CEO of HealthNet made $14 million total compensation last year. When you hear that, what comes to mind?
Fraud. Fraud, abuse of money. This is money that should be used for veterans.
The company's president of government programs, Stephen Tuff, made more than $2 million in both 2014 and 15, including $500,000 in bonus money. Even as doctors' offices said they could no longer accept VA Choice patients because they weren't receiving necessary authorizations and, in many cases, weren't getting paid for their work. A spokesman for the company declined to answer our questions about the executives' compensation on camera, but issued a statement saying, in part, that executives whose pay was examined for this story had responsibilities that expanded beyond or did not include HealthNet Federal Services, the subsidiary that administers the VA Choice program.
What would be your message to the CEO of HealthNet about the treatment that you've had under the Choice program?
The same thing I said 6 months ago. Retire, resign, or be thrown out. What you are doing is not health care.
Reporting in Charlotte, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.
There is one group of people that plans to make sure their voices are heard at the polls, veterans. Investigative reporter Nick Oxner sat down with a group of vets and found many share the same concerns, even if they have different opinions on the candidate they say can fix them. Nick's story is all new at 6.
In my opinion.
When we sat down with 4 veterans one day last week to talk about the 2016 election, one thing was clear. None of the men were satisfied with the treatment vets are getting now. And they're not too optimistic about the future either.
It's kind of frightening to me that out of 330 million people in this country, this is what we could come up with. Both are pretty unacceptable. You got to pick one and do something.
Do you guys feel like your local, congressmen, senators are listening to you guys and are working for veterans?
No.
No.
They worried about one thing, getting reelected.
That's exactly right.
Specifically, these vets said they felt more needs to be done to care for men and women like them, people who've served our country in uniform. We've been uncovering problems with the VA for months, including delays in care through the new Choice program, problems veterans have had getting disability benefits, and most recently, newly discovered backlogs at the Salisbury VA.
A lot of people don't understand how the VA works. They blame it on the POTUS or the SCOTUS or whatever. The VA is a responsibility of Congress.
I've watched my TRICARE for Life go down over the years. And I've watched the coverage, for Medicare decrease, and I've got between those two, that's what pays my medical bills.
And we have to say to our congressmen, hey, you're responsible for the VA. What have you done?
No matter who wins, these men, like so many veterans we've talked with over the past year, just hope there's change for the better.
Here in about a month, the election's going to be over. Whoever wins, wins. And then we go back to being unknown again.
You better have a good plan. You better treat us long-term and do the things that's been promised.
Both of them have made promises to the vets. Both of them have. Keep your promise. Do what you said you're going to do.
Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.
And WBTV will continue to provide you reliable coverage as we get closer to Election Day. We've set aside an entire section of our website just for you. Go to WBTV.com and click on Campaign 2016.
An On Your Side investigation demanding answers tonight about why a veteran has been left virtually stranded, unable to afford trips to the doctor to receive treatments for his terminal cancer. The veteran turned to On Your Side investigator Nick Oxner for help. So, Nick, what's going on here?
Yeah, Paul, Dennis Ladislaw is supposed to be reimbursed for the cost of his trips to and from the Salisbury VA. When he first called us about a month ago, he'd been waiting up to 9 weeks for his reimbursement check. It's a 40-mile drive from Dennis Ladislaw's driveway to the Salisbury VA.
a drive Ladislaw's gotten all too familiar with since he was diagnosed with terminal cancer.
So you drive from here all the way to Salisbury. How long of a drive is that?
An hour.
The Air Force veteran says he used to get reimbursed on the spot during his appointment. But that changed a few years ago when the VA started mailing a check, usually within about a week. Now 1 week has grown to 9. So long, Ladislaw says he can't keep track of which payment is for which visit.
You get this slip and then it's a guessing game.
Yes. And then when it does come in, it doesn't tell you what date it's from.
They said you're late getting your payment because they're so backlogged?
Yep. I guess they're not hiring enough people.
That's what a spokesman for the Salisbury VA told us too when we called to ask what's taking so long. A months-long backlog built up after an employee left. Now, the spokeswoman said someone's been hired and staff is working to catch up on payments. Help that Ladislaw says can't come soon enough.
I mean, it makes it so you can't get to appointments sometimes. I'm not doing this for me. I'm dying anyway, so I'm doing it for all the other GIs, all the other vets. They can't get it either.
Now, a spokeswoman for the VA tells me they've made significant progress on reducing that reimbursement backlog, but I checked with Dennis Ladislaw just the other day, though. He tells me he still only received reimbursements for his visits through October. Reporting live from the newsroom, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.
All right, Nick, continue to follow that for us.